Alright, howdy and welcome. I'm Mike with Board Games for One, and I've got Sean here. He is introducing a game that's coming to Kickstarter called Cytress, a super cool cyberpunk game. I am genuinely very excited for it, but Sean, if you can please sell your game to me, tell me the premise in 30 seconds.
So Cytress is a cyberpunk themed worker placement action selection game where you play as a rebel trying to work your way up the top by completing missions with different factions, gangs, and you're essentially creating a character as you do so. So you are creating relationships with these factions, and you're building out what we call life paths, which is where the RPG element comes in. And you're having all these abilities and skills as you do these missions. You're gaining them, and then that allows you to build your engine, which will allow you to then meet these Stratolites that are mysterious elite figures that are up the top who sometimes occasionally offer you a chance to work with them so that they can help you escape as well. And so you do that. You pretty much just try to escape, but also you want to make sure that you're also having control of those escape tubes so that your opponents can't use them against you. So that's pretty much what Cytress is. You're trying to escape from the underbelly, and you're trying to have a good life at the top. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. All right, so what we're going to do is first you're going to show me how to play the game as two players, as is often the case with solo, and then you're going to tell me a little bit about the difference of the solo mode, and hopefully in the future we can make a little video of the solo mode. Excellent. Well, we're going to go straight into how to play. We're going to be using Tabletop Simulator, and in a separate video we will also do a playthrough of at least a full round, and also the end game scoring any important trigger points. So let's go straight to the game.
The game generally goes for 5 to 6 rounds, depending on when the end game triggers. Now, the end game triggers is triggered by the amount of tubes that are started in the game. If you have your mouse over the chest underneath the tower, it will say 14, which means it's 7 tubes per player. So when the tunnels finish, it means the game ends, and we get to finish the round. We get to bring back extra tubes from the box to build up necessary towers, but that means that's it.
Okay.
So the phases, I'll go through what each phase does, and you'll see how the phases connect or correlate to your characters. So let's start with your character, right? This character in front of me.
Okay.
This is Lofty, and as you can see, all the characters have the same setup here. They've got the yellow at the top, blue at the bottom, and then pink at the top again, and then orange at the bottom right. And if you zoom out, you'll see that it actually correlates with the boards, right? If you look at the 4 district boards, it's also yellow at the top left, blue at the bottom left. So that tells you that that area or that section on the map is connected to that district, okay?
Okay.
Now, these things on the character board are called life paths. So they, in a way, they display, it's like a tapestry of your character. It's a journey. It records who you've worked with and what sort of abilities you gain as a result of working with that faction. So because there are these 4 different life paths, there are 4 different factions, so you get 4 different life paths.
Okay.
Now, each life path or each faction is correlated to one of the phases. The top life path, or the top left rather, the yellow, is correlated to the first phase. All right. The first phase is when you gain resources, and it's just a resource gaining phase, but you just gain resources based on what is shown on there. Okay. So at the moment you see 1 blue, and that means you will gain 1, or that's tech. So 1 tech, you will gain 1 tech on your resource tracker. So this just tracks the resource, and it caps at 25, right?
Okay, so we've got and this is very well set up, by the way. So tech, and you've got weapons, and you've got credits.
You've got credit, and then you've got stims.
And that's stims, okay, okay.
So let me just... Yeah, cool.
Sorry, I messed up your board there.
That's the top left. Yeah.
Oh, and I like this first player token. This is cool. That's nice. All right.
So that happens on the first phase, and that's it. So once that first phase is done, you don't look at this anymore. You just move on to the next thing, which is the second phase. The second phase is where you move your leaders out, which is this big thing here, and you can see on top of your resource tracker, it actually tells you when the phases activate. So first phase, what do you do? Second phase, what do you do? Third phase, what do you do? So it's very systematic, and you just follow along. And everyone, does the same thing at the different phases, right?
Right.
So when it's the second phase, each person will move their leader, which is this thing.
Now, do you mean that they play simultaneously for those phases?
So there are simultaneous events and also non-simultaneous events, which I'll explain in just a bit. So phase 1 is simultaneous. Phase 2 is both simultaneous and turn order, and I'll explain how that works.
Okay.
So the part where turn order comes in is when you move your leaders out to the leader to influence a district. Now, you can only influence one of 4 districts. So Corporal Crab, Privateers, Rovers, or Hooligans, that's it. And they are marked by these leader icons you can see here.
Okay.
In a 4 to 5 player game, there will be more locations for this leader because obviously you've only got 4 areas.
Okay.
But for less than 3 or 3 or less, you only have 1 for each.
Okay.
So once the player's gone to that location, you can see at the top, if you just look at this, there is a hexagon at the top. A hexagon.
Yeah.
It tells you what the resource is on there and what the resource you're getting. So this you'll get 5.
Okay.
And then if you're moving to somewhere else, you'll get, for example, if you're moving to Corporal Crabs, you'll get 5 credits.
Okay.
And it's quite simple for this. So this is the turn order part. Now, the simultaneous part is where this life path comes in. So this life path very similar to the top one, which is where you gain resource. But for this one, you only gain the resource when someone gains that resource during this phase.
Okay.
So for example, if you were to move your character to the Hooligan life path and you gain weapons as a result, so you would gain 5 weapons as said on here.
Okay.
Because I have this life path here, it tells me that I've got 1 weapon there as well. I would gain yours. So you can think of it as a tax on what you gain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this is where the simultaneous comes in, and it only works when if you zoom in closely, it only works when another player gains that resource, not when you go on. So if you go on that, you don't gain any.
Okay.
Only when someone else goes on it. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like a tax, so think of it that way.
Yep, that makes sense.
Cool. And then once that's done, that's it. That's phase 2. Very simple phase. You just gain resource in and out. Yeah, you've got the turn order, but you've also got the simultaneous.
It's kind of similar to anyone that's well, actually, most people haven't played Hamlet yet, but they might have watched videos in the game Hamlet, where you can end up buying like a mill to produce flour. Other people can, if somebody else uses that to produce flour or something like that, they have to pay you for it. And there are plenty of other games like that, but that just came to mind.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's sort of using that mechanic there. That's it. That's the second phase, and then you don't look at this or this anymore. So
the blue?
Those are done for the round. Yeah, the blue or the yellow.
Okay.
Because they're done.
Okay.
Now, that leaves us with the pink and the orange. Right?
Okay.
So with the pink, it is used for trades. So both the pink and orange, they affect the third phase, which is where you send your ships out. So you've got these 3 ships. These 3 ships will go to those ship locations. They will essentially, these are your crew that you sent out to do your bidding, right? To meet these people, to do the missions, and to gain those resources. So if you were to land in a merchant location, you would be able, looking at the hex at the top, it tells you what happens. By trading one particular resource, you can trade for another particular resource based on what's in the market, which is that triangle there that you see. Okay. So at the moment, you can see credit trades for weapons, weapons trades for tech, and tech trades for credit. Okay. But you can't trade for stims. Stims, you can use that to trade for everything else though, so it acts like a wild, only in this trading purpose, right?
Gotcha, yes. But you can't trade anything to get a stim.
Correct, you can't trade anything to get a stim, correct. So in a way, stims are strong for trading purposes. Okay. Yeah. So when you trade one ship for one resource type to another resource type. So for example, I can trade 1 credit for 1 weapon or 10 credits for 10 weapons, as long as it's one resource type to another. Okay. I can't do 1 credit to weapon and then 1 weapon to tech. Right. It's only 1 to 1. A to B. Yeah, that's it. That's pretty much what happens in trade. Now, so why is it in pink then? So what happens in pink is at the moment you start with 1 of each, which means 1 to 1. But if you haven't had another card here, for example, I have a credit which extending life path, so a credit here that becomes 2. So every time I trade for a credit, I get 2. Doesn't matter if I use stims. Doesn't matter if I use what's in the market. Let's see.
Okay, so because these cards, where that line connects there, so I've got 1 credit that I'm getting right here. Yes. And then this, I can see it creates like a link. And so now that's 2 credits whenever I take that action. Whereas if that was a weapon, then it would be 1 weapon and 2 weapons down there.
Yes, correct. Okay. If you were to trade for weapons and you needed more weapons, you would have to find cards with the weapons.
Okay.
Yeah. So this essentially increases the ratio. Instead of a 1-to-1, you get a 1-to-2 or 1-to-3. So it scales really fast the more you have. It's a multiplication. It's a multiplier essentially.
Okay.
And lastly, the hooligan missions. So the hooligans help you with your the cost. So every mission. So these are missions only, not tradings, nothing, not ascending to tubes. So missions will cost you resources. So if you look at performing missions, so for example, if I moved one of my ships to a mission location, which is meeting a privateer, you will see that the cost is 2 tech for a mission card. So that will mean I would have to pay 2 tech in order to complete this action.
Okay, and to pay, I just move my marker backward, correct? I just go 1, 2.
Correct.
Okay.
So you would just move your marker. You see, you would just move your marker backward if to 0 if you had only 2 tech.
Okay.
But if you had a card, if you had this card, for example, this would all of a sudden give you a discount, right? It would slice the price by 1.
Okay.
So your tech now would, if you were to do so, in fact, you've already got that 1 there already. So that would slice your corporal crab or anything that costs you credits will be sliced by 1.
Okay.
So this one, it will slice this anything that costs you tech by 1 as well.
Okay.
So one quick sentence that I will add in the rule book is this: yellow 1s, blue 2s, pink trades, and orange slices. So yellow for phase 1s,
yes.
Blues for phase 2s, pink trades, and orange slices. So that's just a quick, I guess, I'm not sure what's like a sentence or a quick rhyme that sort of sticks with you and allows you to remember what each color does during the different phases.
Okay.
So in essence, that's how the engine works. The more cards, the more missions you do, the more cards you will have, essentially extending your life path and helping you build that engine, which will enable you to have enough resource to eventually ascend to the top. Now, I've explained, so
you have to meet these requirements in order to get to these tubes.
Correct. So every action sort of has its own requirement. All the 9 actions, so there are 9 actions on the board which are depicted by these ship icons.
Okay.
So you just move the ship there and then you do the mission. If you can't afford it, you can't do that action.
Okay.
So there are only 3 main actions that are done throughout these 9 actions, even though there are 9. Essentially, they're just different varieties of the 3 main things you do. The first thing you do is you do missions, right? So which are these 4 factions, right?
Right.
If you move your ship to any of those 4, you're doing a mission.
Okay, and that so a mission is one of the 9 actions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then the second thing that you're doing is you're gaining or you're substituting some sort of resources, which are these actions down below. Okay. So for this action here, it's meeting the fixer. It's quite simple. You get a fix, right? So you either gain 2 of the same resource, or you gain 3 unique resources.
Okay.
So 2 tech, or 1 tech, 1 stim, 1 credit.
Okay, and that would be a second of those 9 actions, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Second of those 9 actions.
Okay.
Yes. And then the other thing is, like I mentioned, the trade. So this is one action as well. It is trading 1 for 1 or 1 for 2, depending on the cards that you have and what resource you want. So those are the mission. So those are the resource gathering actions. The mission gathering actions are these 4. So that takes us up to 6. So that's 4 of these, 2 of these, and then the middle part here, which I'll get back. I'll get to it in the last actually. I'll get to this the last action.
No problem.
But we'll just quickly move up to these tube building actions here. So this board here it only handles tubes, right? So whether you're going on this action or this action, they're both tube actions. So either one you'll be going up. Now, in order to play in these actions, you must have a crew that is already on your minimap. Now, how do you get the crew on the minimap then? So the minimap is just a way to show you as a player where you have done your missions. So every time you go to, you perform one of these ship actions, you not only take a card, but you also show everyone else where you have done this mission. So you would then take, so I would take a card, I would place it on the board, and then I would place one of my crew, which is here. I would drag it out, and I will put it on the blue district on the minimap, because that's where I've done the mission, right?
Okay.
So think of it this way. I landed my ship here,
yes,
and then I dropped 1 guy on.
Gotcha. And you did your mission in a blue. Now, why did you pick that blue hexagon as opposed to any of the other 5?
Any of the other blues, yes. So as long as you're doing it on a blue, you can pick any of the blues that are available.
Okay.
And why I would pick this over that is where the tubes come in. So I'll show you how the tubes control and why you want to build closer to your allies rather than, and also maybe you want to build closer to, other people's tubes as well.
Okay.
So yeah, when you have the crew ready, when they've done the mission, they're there. That means they're ready to ascend. And
Okay.
if you have the correct amount of resource, so if you look closely, you'll see in order to ascend to the first level, you need 5 of any one type of resource. So
Okay.
it can be credits, stims, tech, or weapons. Right?
Gotcha.
Or if you want to go one level higher, which is this part here, so I'll show you. This is the first level, the second level, and the third level. If you want to go to the second level, you would then need to pay 11 resource. So it's a lot more.
Oh,
And then
okay.
the highest level is 18. So
Okay.
you can see, wow, it's all of a sudden it's crazy. Like you need 18. Like how are you going to get that? You're only gaining 1 resource per round, right?
Right. And
But you'll see
does that
how it
need to
all ties
be
together.
does that need to be 18 of one resource or
Correct.
Oh, okay. So I
Correct.
can't have 18
You can't-
among.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're gonna have to be very, very specific in how your engine works because most of your engine kind of gives you a bit of everything, but that's not what you want. You want to be focused on one particular resource that helps you climb up to Stratus. So to go up to Stratus, there are 2 ways. You've got the shortcut, which is very simple, or you've got something, you've got somewhat of a harder job to do. You've got to fulfill some requirements, right? So I'll quickly explain the shortcut. The shortcut is going through the hackers, right? The net prowlers, as we call it.
Okay.
So these hackers, they are quite simple. They say, as long as you have the resources, you can go on any hex you want, and you can pay me with any resource you want, as long as it's all the same still. So 18 of the same, 5 of the same, 11 of the same.
Okay.
But there's no restrictions. So if I have 5 credits and I happen to be on the blue hex, yeah, sure, just go up. Even if
Okay.
I have 5 tech, I happen to be on the blue hex as well, sure, no worries, just go up. Go up there, and then I can just leave my guy up there, and he's done. He's ascended.
Okay.
But if I want to be a little bit extra, and I want to fulfill some of these requirements that the Stratolites have, which are on the Stratus tower themselves, I will get some reward because of that as well. So the Stratolites are a bit picky. If you say, for example, if I pick this card here, right? If I pick this card here, this Stratolite Ursula requires me to pay with credits instead of tech. So she wants me to pay tech, and she wants me to ascend on a orange hex or a Hooligan district.
Okay.
So my guy here, he won't be able to fulfill that. In fact, none of these guys up here are giving me a choice really, because none of these guys have a blue hex. So technically, I can't fulfill any of them. So if I were to ascend this guy, I would have to go with the hacker first. That's my first choice. Or perhaps I could wait for these cards to be taken away and recycled, and then maybe something else would come up.
Okay.
But essentially, right now, my choices with these guys are a bit limited. So
Okay.
So if I want to fulfill any of this, if I were able to fulfill any of this, let's just say for the sake of this example, I was on an orange hex, and I did have credits. Let me pay Ursula the 5 credit that I owe her, right? Pay the 5 credits. She's happy. I'm happy. She says orange. I'm on orange. Let's go. I send her to the first level.
Okay.
She goes to the discard. She's happy.
And you
with
know
it.
that it's 5. I'm just summarizing this for viewers. So you know that it's the 5 credits because you're going up 1 level, which is the 5 of any one resource, and you have your mission on that color that's on the card. In this case, it's the orange. So you satisfied with, but it had to be 5 credits. So you paid 5 credits, and you had a dude on orange, and therefore you can go up. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, cool.
So as a result of that, if you look at the board, there is an extra action there. So you can see the ship that you're on has to leave that location. So just think of it this way. You visited the Stratolites, you made a deal with them, and now they're saying, hey, you don't belong here, get off our city. So what that means is after the round ends, you get to move your ship away to another location, effectively giving you an extra action or an extra ship.
Okay.
So your ship can now move to do another mission, or you can do, take a resource or something else, right? Or perhaps meet another hacker to ascend.
Okay.
Right? And you can only move your ships that are from this location.
Okay.
And they will give you an extra turn after everyone is done with their 3 default ships that they have for that round. So that is the benefit of fulfilling one of these I guess, contracts that these
Yes.
Stratolites have. Yeah.
Exactly, their contracts. Okay, cool. I like the Stratolites too. I see you've got flavor text. I'm an art guy. I notice the care, and I do want. I'm not saying this to compliment you. I'm very very impressed with the graphic design
Thank you. Yeah.
and the connection of the theme to the actions. I can see the theme of the character going around completing these side missions in order to improve their life and go up, and they go and they can either go through the underground with the hackers, or they can go and meet the higher ups above for a moment, get something done, but then it's like, get out of here. It's cool. You did a good job. But all right, keep going.
Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, so that's essentially one of the most important actions you have. You're able to perform on the board during the phase, during the third phase, and it usually happens when people have enough resources, and that's when these two buildings will start happening. Now, on the other side, so you have to meet the bounty hunters. This is where when you complete a certain number of missions, then you can collect some of these bounties. So for each bounty, at the moment, you only need 3 mission cards against that particular faction, right? So if you were completing a rover bounty, you would have to complete a mission against the rover. So not a mission from the rover district itself.
Okay.
You're completing a mission against the rover. So if you look at this card here, it will say sabotage a rover. So you're actually sabotaging a rover for the hooligans.
Okay.
And it would be these missions here that you're doing it against. Now, a very easy way to spot which mission belongs to which is actually by looking at the card art. So the card's art, the illustration, actually tells you which mission, which faction you're performing these missions against.
So this one is that nice magenta background, so that's against
Correct.
the rovers, whereas this one
Yes.
here is against the blue background, the privateers.
Correct.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah.
I mean it, man. Like I'm actually, I don't like digital gaming platforms much. I mean they're wonderful for, especially for prototypes, but this is super cool.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, it's very, I guess, if you want to think of it thematically, even the art tells the story like, hey, I'm in the Hooligan district, and these missions are, look, you're going into a privateer area to sabotage one of the, not privateer, the rover area to sabotage the rover, or you're going into a privateer area to, what is this, immobilize a privateer, right?
Okay, because these are kind of competing or what did you call them? Competing factions? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So these factions are constantly competing with each other. And, when you do a mission, so for example, for example, you did 2 of these, and you did another one, which I'll take from a different faction. So, you've helped the hooligan, beat up some rovers, and then you've helped the corporocrat beat up 1 rover as well. You've got a total of 3 now, right? So now you can go and claim your bounties. Like, hey, I've actually got 3 missions against the rovers, and then they'll say, oh, that's good. That's what we're doing. We're hunting down these rovers, and you've just helped us. Now, there is a caveat though. Now that you've done these bounties, the rovers are aware of your doings, and there is a negative effect on you now. So during the phase 3, all future rover missions will now cost you 1 more, as opposed to 1 less. Like
because you just went against them, so of course there's going to be a price.
Yes.
That is really good.
Yeah.
I like the cohesion.
Yeah. So that's why there is a battle. If you take it too early, you will have that. You have to carry that extra cost with you throughout the game. But if you take it too late, you might have missed the chance to take it in the first place. Someone else might have snapped it from you. So yeah, that is essentially the last action for the third turn.
Okay.
And
once one of these
and
once these are taken, do they get refreshed every round? Like everybody completes all their turns, and then the next round you refresh it?
No, so it actually refreshes as soon as the card gets taken. So you
cool.
constantly get missions. Yeah.
Okay.
And let me quickly go through the last part, which is where the area control comes in.
Okay.
So let's say I'll just, for example, have we've done a few missions. I'm here and you're here. Let me just show you some. Okay, I've done a few missions. You've done a few missions as well. All right, and we have decided. All right, let's ascend. Right, let me ascend my dude. So I'm gonna send this guy. Okay, I'm gonna send this guy. Instead of sending this guy. Why? Because if I send this guy, all of a sudden my guy is missing.
Okay.
Living behind a tube, which you have majority. You have majority control of. So you have majority surrounding that tube.
Okay.
So you have automatic control. Whereas if I ascended this, hold on, let me move this guy here. Whereas if I ascended this guy here, right, instead of this guy. Okay, let me just make another guy here. If I ascended this guy here instead, and put the tube here, I would have 2 against your 1 crew that is surrounding that tube, which gives me majority. So I gain the points for that particular tube.
And you, just to clarify, when you placed that tube, so when you ascend, that's what this icon with the tube means, is you place a tube wherever that ship came from.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So when your ship lands here, you take a card, you pay the resources, and then you just place you swap your crew with the tube.
Got it.
And depending on how much you pay, you can take.
And that's how you get that ship back as well. Now, and I do want you to finish with the area majority, but if I use this for meeting a net prowler, that ship is there for good, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So if there is a tie though, so if both of us have just one meeple or one crew around the tube, then no one gets control. So no one gains any points for that one.
Okay.
Then,
And how do I know how many points I get?
Yeah, so that's about to get. So the points are quite simple in terms of tube. So if you have ascend to the highest level, it actually tells you on the tower itself, 15 for the highest level, 10 for the second, and then 5 for the lowest level for level 1.
Okay.
Right. So the amount of crew that you have there. So let's say if I have 2 here, and if I have 1 here, if I have 1 here, that would mean I will have 30 plus 10 plus 5, right?
Okay.
And you would just do the math like that. Simple. You just count how many crews you have, and you just work out the math that way. But that does not include the amount of points you get from control. So for control points, you would actually look at the map itself. So for example, if I have let me just put 1 here, and let me just put another tube here. All right.
Okay.
Another tube here. So for this tube, we would count just the tubes alone. So I'll put 2 and I'll put 3. So for this tube, because I control it, I'll get 3 points. Now, why 3? Because it's just a level 1.
Okay.
It's just a level 1 tube. And if you're wondering, okay, where do I find this 3, 5, and 7?
Right.
It's on your character board. So it tells you majority. If
Okay,
it's just
perfect.
a 1 high tube, it tells you it's 3 points. If it's a 3 high tube, it gives you 7 points. So you can see 7 points. It's massive. Just for controlling. Yeah. And the control doesn't even have to be the tubes that you control. Doesn't even have to be from your ascension. It can be from someone else's ascension.
As long as you have the majority. So like this is a tube that's in with the rovers with magenta, but you could still get points if you're in the hooligans, the orange, correct? Okay.
Correct. That's right. So because you're looking at surrounding, currently the green has majority, so they would get 7 points for these. So I'll just remove these as I count the points, and then they'll get 5 points for these. So they'll get a total of 12 points just for control.
Okay.
At this stage in the game. Yeah. Whereas the red player would only get 3 points just for control.
Okay.
Yeah. And that is the control part of it. There is a thing though in an action, not a secret action, but an action that you can use, which is called spy thing. So what happens when you build a mission? So what happens when you put a crew? Like let's say, for example, when you perform a mission and you decide to put a crew that is adjacent to 2 crews that are next to each other, 2 or more.
Okay.
You can gain 1 resource on their hex. So what you're doing essentially is you're spying on a group. Right?
Okay.
You're not just spying on an individual. You're infiltrating the group.
So then I could choose to either gain 1 currency or 1 weapon.
Correct. 1 credit or 1 weapon.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
And if it comes to if it comes to this, it would mean you get to choose 1 of 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
1 of 3. Oh, so because they all connect.
No, sorry, 1 of the 3. So 1 tech, 1 credit, or 1 weapon. Yeah.
Oh, got it. So if you were the red, I'm sorry, I was thinking I was the green guy. If I was the red here, then I could choose one of these 3. Got it.
Correct.
Got it.
And if you do, if in a game where there's more players and you see yourself being lucky enough to sit in between 2 different players with 2 or more crew stack, you get 1 from each player.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Yeah. So as long as there's 2 or more grouping, so if there's a group in any location and you just put it yourself in between them, so it has to be in between, like you just slot in, then you gain that. So it can't be here because that would mean you're only doing it for 1. So you have to go in from 2 on right adjacent to 2. Yeah, you can't be just adjacent to 1. So as long as you're adjacent to 1, you're spying. It's called the spying action, which just gives you that extra resource. So let me put back.
That's always the
Uh,
funnest part.
yep, that's it. So I can pretty much delete all of this. I'll return this one to my
I
box.
see we got a
And
how to
I'll
play
just do this.
video there. You've got an instruction manual. You got your rule book.
Yep.
And I'm gonna
And
just take a look at
this whole
that.
module that you're seeing right now on the tabletop simulator, you can download it, and so you can watch the how to play. It's about 7-8 minutes long,
Oh,
and you have the
nice.
rules just to back everything up. So we've got a few games going already where I'm not even there. People are just playing it by themselves.
That
So
is
yeah.
fantastic.
So this is all free on the workshop. Just just search on the workshop on Cytress, and it should show up. That's the
Okay.
first one. Yeah.
Very cool. Now, can I leave the instruction booklet? Oh, there we go. There's an X. I can always find an X. Okay, so tell me then about the solo mode. 30 seconds or less.
Okay, so solo mode, you're essentially going against an AI. These AI, they have a name. They even have a picture. They're called enforcers. So these enforcers will be also they'll be tracking your every move as well, because they will also be trying to go up to they'll try to ascend to Stratus themselves. There are different groups which will be explained more in terms of the law in our rulebook, but they are trying to they are really smart, so they adapt to. Sorry, this is more than 30 seconds. I
It
know,
is more than
but,
30 seconds.
yeah, but to put it short, to put it simply, these AIs, they read your every move. So if you go to a privateer, they will adapt their strategy to try to stop you from going there, or make it harder for you to go there, and you might want to try to move somewhere else. And they essentially they don't play it as another player, but they use these boards, these character boards that you have. You just have to flip them around, and they're there, and you'll be able to scale it with difficulty. So the normal mode will be normal, and you can go easy or you can go hard. So yeah.
Okay, so is there an AI deck or an AI card?
Mhm. So there is no deck or card. That's the beauty of it.
Okay,
Because
cool.
the AI is actually built into these the rules themselves. So the way we created the rules is the AI. How it works, just to make it, just to simplify it, is we put the resources which represent the factions into a bag, which you will have to take out every time you build a tube. So it makes sense when you see it will be detailed on the rulebook. You don't need to have extra things, which a lot of game has. The theme of this game and the goal of this game is to make things simpler, right? If we can simplify things as much as possible, remove the necessary steps while keeping it, the same level of entertainment, keeping the AI working, that does the job, then that's great. Our goal is achieved. So yeah, so no need for extra decks, no need for extra components. Just use what we have, but changing the rules so that it works. And yeah, we have a lot of good plays with it with the AI. Can't
Awesome.
wait to show you guys. Yeah.
All right, and in the future, hopefully we can do a feature and show that AI opponent. All right, man,
That's
that
it.
was
Yeah.
super cool. I am very excited about this. So if people want to find you, where can they go? Are you on Kickstarter yet, or where can they go basically to stay up to date so that they can support the Kickstarter when it comes out?
Yep. The best place to follow us right now is the website, and it's spelled exactly as the game. So it's Cytress, Cytress.com. That's it.
Okay.
Cytress.com. It will have all the information there, and once you sign up to the page, you will be brought immediately to our Facebook community, which we are close to 1,000 people now. 1,000 people are in the group, and we have over 2,000 people in the mailing list. So we have a really strong community. People who love Cyberpunk, people who love Euros or resource management games. So yeah, I'm very excited to see you there. And yeah.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much, Sean. I really appreciate the time. And everybody,